Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everyone. Miss Natasha here from Natasha Connects. I hope that you're doing well. I'm an author, educator, I'm an author, educator, and speaker, and I also happen to be authentically autistic. I'm here to ask the question: why do you decide to create instead of hate? I have a lovely young woman here that I've been following on Instagram for about a year or two, and she works with people like me. And I'd love it if you all could join us today, and I will have her introduce herself.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction, Natasha. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamelia Gay. I am the founder and managing director of Diamond Initiative. I provide the virtual tutoring services for the early years. I also provide educational consultancy for education institutions in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the Greater Toronto area. And as Natasha mentioned, I am an ADHD and executive function coach for adults and children as well.
Thank you so much. I need some executive functioning skills, and I'm sure you got loads of answers for me.
Listen, it's
And
why I'm here.
yeah, and also I was a preschool readiness instructor for 20 years, so preschool is also deep in my veins. So I
Yeah,
really appreciate the work that you're doing, and thank you so much for that introduction.
thank you as well.
So I'll get into this interview. Did the industry you're in choose you, or did you choose the industry?
I love that question. Wow. Um, I feel as much as I would love to say that I chose it, and in certain ways, eventually I did. Um, but I feel that because of my upbringing, for one, because of my purpose or what I believe and feel in my heart is my purpose, and as a result of trusting my intuition, I do feel that this was chosen for me. It just took me some time to accept that and allow myself to be pulled in that direction. And it wasn't even a hard pull, really. It was just a light little tug, and I knew that's where I needed to be. Um, I have a lot of teachers in my family. My mom, as well, is a teacher and an early childhood educator. And it's always been in my blood. When I was younger, I said I wanted to be a teacher, but I deviated over the years. And as I got older, even though I did my bachelor's of arts in business and society, it was because I knew eventually I wanted to possibly own my own childcare center. And I didn't want to have to solely rely on someone else to know the business end of things. So I decided to do that first. But whether it was me doing early childhood education or autism and behavioral science or now the ADHD, it's always been around children. And then in an extension of that, because I do work with adults as well, it's basically been in service, finding a job that allows me to be in service of others, which is not to be mistaken with being taken for granted or, being walked all over or always giving. There's a balance. But I feel that we're here on this earth to help others, not just to help ourselves, not just to take, but to give, not to hate, but to create. So I feel that, it was it was chosen for me, but I chose to follow what was chosen for me, if you understand what I'm saying. I chose not to run away from it, from that calling.
I love that answer.
Thank you.
You're speaking to my heart, and I hope that everyone else like feels that.
Thank you so much.
It's just so true.
It
And I
really, it
really
really
do
is.
thank you for heeding the call. You know,
Absolutely.
you actually went into my like in also into my other questions, which would be what made you gravitate to the company you're in or create the company you have, and that notion of, I always say, that little nudge,
Hmm.
that tap on your shoulder, that's what's telling you where that completeness, that peace, that grace filled space is.
You know what I love about what you said? You said, you're happy that I heeded the call, that I took that call and followed through. And it sounds simple, but it really isn't, because there are so many people that get that call every single day, Natasha, but they're too afraid to take it because everyone else is telling them, no, you shouldn't do that. You're not going to make money here, or you're not going to be good at this, etc.
Yeah.
But don't listen to them, because that in and of itself is a form of hate. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't mean that they hate you or they don't want the best for you, but people tend to transfer their insecurities and their fears onto you. And when God puts a mission in your heart, he puts it in your heart. No one else has to understand it, right? Because he didn't give it to them, he gave it to you, and you're the only one who's going to hear that call in the way that it's being, whispered to you, caressing you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I love that you said that. And it's about, to me, it's also about being brave enough. And I'm not saying that if you don't take the call, you're not brave, but it takes a lot of strength and effort and consistency to tune out the noise of the world and the doubts and the hate and the negativity. Like, it takes consistent effort all the time. So it shows a lot of strength when you do decide to create something on your own, whether it means it's your own business or not. But even within your working for someone else, being in the corporate world, working 9 to 5, the strategies that you're implementing, the demeanor that you have when you're going about tasks that are presented to you, the way that you differentiate from other people, and how you make your own services unique in what you're doing, that's a form of creation as well. So it doesn't have to always be creating your own business, but it's creating your own mindset and your own way of helping others in everything that you do.
I love how your brain works, because you went to the very core of why I started to create Don't Hate.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the workplace, creating an environment of peace within the workplace. So many people are doing the total opposite. That's why I started Create Don't Hate. It was just out of, why don't I look to the people who are putting in the elbow grease every single day to do all of the things necessary in regards to the real reason why you're there at that job.
Agreed.
Right? Or you created that space and you created this space where it's like, it's a kosher space. I always use that word because as clean and clear as eating kosher food is, the environment should be the same.
Agreed.
And it should be grown. It should be expanded within the. I always say this. Regardless of the space, because my notion for Natasha Connects is MEEF, mental wellness within education, employment, and family.
Love it.
Because my mental wellness was nowhere near great within all quadrants. I decided to go quiet. I decided to retrospect and introspect on myself.
Yep.
And then choose, like you said, like, yes, the people do not have full intentions, and you cannot please the world. You cannot please the world.
Accurate. So accurate.
So you just got to do this first. I say the golden compass between your ears, which is your brain, right? That's from The Strangest Secret in the World.
Okay.
And that, like, and then the heart, and then there's that whole spiritual sense, that whole faith-based sense, where are you faith-filled? Do you know whose you are? And you're coming on me about things. You're telling me to stop the very thing that's telling me to keep going.
That's right.
So that's a whole nother thing.
But it's so true, and I love that you brought that up, because who were we created by? We were created by God. So how can you hate on God's creations?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
We're all unique. We're all made in His likeness.
Yeah.
We're all here for a purpose. So how can we hate on what He created? And who are you to hate on me because I am a creation of God. I am magnificent. I am special. I am purpose-filled and purpose-driven.
Yeah, despite all of this, whatever
Mm-hmm.
this is, who cares? Who cares? Like, I'm not a dumb bimbo.
That's accurate.
I don't have to adhere to the laws and beliefs to what they say.
Correct.
I'm not going to be lawless, you know? That's the thing when people say that, you have to be careful and watch the way people say things because you're going to go follow someone that is lawless in that,
Yeah.
right?
And there's a difference.
And there's a difference. So I'm going to stop that rant and keep going on this.
Okay.
What are the skills you would use the least within your field?
The least. That's a good question. What skills would I use the least? I would say this may sound anyway, I'll go on. I would say directing. And what I mean by that is as adults, we have gotten used to telling others what to do, particularly in the younger years, right? So this is in relation to working with children. When we look at winter time, for example, as adults, we're always on the go. And we want to, if we're in a childcare center, we want to move from the classroom and transition to the playground, for example. And as I'm sure you know, during wintertime, it's a process because there are so many layers. And depending on how many children you have, there are certain ratios you have to abide to. It takes some time. And because we want to get things done at a certain time, in a certain pace, in a certain way, and move from one to the next, we've gotten so used to moving from one moment to the next that we don't realize we're inadvertently rushing children through their own process. So, for example, instead of just telling a child what to do, directing the way I want it done or doing it for them, I have to practice patience myself and stop and say, do you need help with that? Chances are no, they want to try it first and give them the opportunity to develop. So even though in every sense of the word, I'm a teacher, there are times when I have to not teach, or at least not direct, not teach.
The scaffold.
Exactly. So you're scaffolding and you're allowing that your teach. What a lot of people underestimate is that there are other ways to teach and there are other ways to communicate. It's not always verbally. So for me, a teaching opportunity is for me to keep my mouth shut and allow them to try to zip that jacket up themselves, tie their shoelaces themselves, because there's fine motor skills being developed, you've got that object permanence because you're looking from one thing to the next, etc. So I had to kind of dull how much I was teaching and directing, even though I am a teacher, I am a giver.
It paused just a bit. Oh, there
Oh,
you
there
go.
we go.
You were just saying a teacher, and I think you were just saying gift.
Yes. So I was saying, even though I am a teacher and I am a giver, I had to find new and subtle ways to teach. So sometimes that means keeping your mouth shut and observing and allowing children that opportunity to develop. Every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and to teach in very innovative ways, depending on the child that you're working on, depending on his or her needs at that time, or in general, depending on their ability and developmental level, etc. So I had to learn to teach without verbally teaching, and I had to learn to practice the pause, basically. So I would say that even though I have been teaching per se, one of the skills I've been trying to use less is actively teaching based on my previous description.
Wow, that was such a lovely statement just because you actually took it there and you brought relevance to it.
Mm.
And with any time people speak on the matter, I can tell if they're child-based and child and family-based or teacher-centered.
Teachers, yeah.
So I like that the everything that you're saying now. And most times when I did stuff like that in the classroom, like it would be seen by other people like I'm lollygagging
Mm-hmm.
because of what how I am. Like the microaggressions that would occur. So why is she taking so long with Sarah, little Sarah?
Yeah.
Well, and then you're like, then you have to, you know what I mean? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
is that that's not necessary, and it's actually taking away from the time in the like you just said from the child's
Exactly.
needs.
Exactly.
And you're actually aggravating me so much that, oh, why is she always going to the washroom? One, I have an overactive bladder, and two, I have to breathe.
Yep.
Because some people think that they know everything before doing self
Mm-hmm.
reflection
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace. But that's another story.
But it's true. And when people like to get information from you, right? And when you don't provide that information, they create the information themselves
Yeah.
and they assume. No one has the right to your inner thoughts, your private thoughts, and the reason behind what you need to do. And, going back a little bit to what you said with regards to doing it based on the child's needs, a lot of educators, and I use this as a word of caution when I'm talking to persons who are considering going into that field. It's not about you. Even though you're the adult in the room, it's not about you. You have to get over yourself. It's not about you. Um, and if you're going into it for the money, you're going into it for the wrong reasons, and you need to find another field. Um, One, we're not babysitters, so you have to be active. But being active doesn't mean you dominate the classroom. Being active means you're being active in security. You're making sure that they're safe. You're following healthy
Your
protocols, and
social emotional well being.
thank you. And you're actively involved with these individuals and they're learning. However, it doesn't mean that you're dominating. They're in the driver's seat. This is their learning, this is their environment. Our role is to make it beneficial for every individual in the classroom.
Right.
So sometimes you have to spend an extra 10 minutes with one child because that's where their individual needs are. It
Right.
doesn't mean you're not focusing on what's going on around you, but you can't just cater to them as a group because there are so many different personalities, learning styles,
Yeah.
needs, capabilities, emotions,
Yeah.
development levels in those little people, those
Yeah.
tiny humans.
Yeah.
So you can't rush the process. I'm not saying that you're going to stay sitting on the carpet for the whole day,
No.
but they say common sense is not common,
Yeah.
but it's finding a balance between your responsibility to the safety of the environment, and I mean safety in every holistic meaning of the word, as well as your responsibility to that individual child's development and growth and need.
Absolutely. And thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
love these those are real conversations, and I'm
Mhm.
just tired of the fake within the it's the same with early childhood education and nursing. The
Mhm.
same people doing serving another, but the same types of behaviors and attitudes towards each other
Yeah.
in those workspaces are very similar.
Mhm.
So like stuff like that. I want to be able to go into the PD days of those spaces
Yep.
and be able to collectively brainstorm around how we can do better. You don't
Yep.
have to say you're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
Let's focus on how to make it better.
And I love the way you said that, because that's exactly how we should be talking to our children as well, because they make mistakes too. And sometimes they do things that irritate us because they're
Yeah.
human beings as well. Like you can't help it. But you don't go over there saying every single thing that's negative that they did and admonishing them. I've observed that you've done this. What do you think, or how do you think this made the other person feel, etc.? What do you think about the actions? How can we change that for the next time? What can you do instead? So it's finding positivity in it. And again, using it as a teaching and a learning opportunity instead of just pointing your finger and no, 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 which by now has no meaning at
None.
all. It's just a word.
Whew. Okay. Thank you. I'm trying to make sure I don't I'm being as peace filled as possible so I don't get all move around and this type of thing. So I love the conversation and I really, really am blessed by it. And I really just want to continue these types of conversations within the relevant spaces in order to bring change.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you navigate hope?
How do I navigate hope? The best I can. I pray for it, first of all. I am a very faith-based individual. I do believe in God, trust in God, etc. Um, that being said, I have to my trust and faith has to be coupled with effort and consistency and work as well. Like you can't just sit down doing nothing and say, "Hey, God, make it better," right? You have to be active. You do your best and leave the rest to God.
Yes.
So with hope, it takes effort to maintain hope, and that's where I need God to step in and help me to maintain that effort, because life is not easy, right? Life is hard. People make it harder for some reason. There's so much hate in the world, but I create hope and maintain hope by knowing that instead of comparing myself to others, what I do is compare where I was to where I am now. And just seeing my own transformation gives me hope for the transformation that is to come. Because where I am now is not where I'm going to be 10 years from now. God spare my life. And then I also have hope in, or I maintain hope in knowing about the generation to come, the generation to follow me, in my own household, as well as, on a societal level, even a systemic level. I have hope that things can get better. But for me to have that hope, it means that I have to be active in that hope, which means I have to play an active role in creating a better world and a better system for those behind me, because then I have hope that if I set this example, I hope that they will follow. If I create this environment, and this method and strategy of giving, of teaching, of loving, of creating, then I have hope that they will follow. Um,
That's
it's also finding solace in letting the external be external. So, something I struggle with in the past, and I still struggle with a bit now, because as you may know, I do believe I match an ADHD profile. So I can be very hypersensitive at times, and the, the actions of those around me have a very large effect on me, and I tend to take that on emotionally, which is not the most positive thing because it's a lot. Um, but lately, I have been better equipped to not put up a barrier, but set boundaries for other people, but also set boundaries for myself. And sometimes those boundaries are, this is the situation, this is how someone is treating me. I don't have to accept that for myself. I am no longer going to accept that for myself. So this is the situation as it is. This is how I feel about it. I'm disappointed by it, but my day, my life continues. And I have hope in continuing that, and in continuing to grow and develop and set those boundaries, in a very peace giving type of way. Like I don't have to be rude about it, but I am going to be adamant about it and unapologetic about the boundaries that I set for myself, the space that I'm creating for myself. Um, Yeah, that's it really in a nutshell.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I'm not going to even say anything else, but that is so powerful, and yet so, again, you're seeing who you were, you're seeing what is the matter, and then you're making changes to make it happen, like
Yeah,
to make the parts that are not doing so good, to make it happen, make it a bit better,
yeah,
and that's like the ultimate thing is, I say this a lot recently, do you like you?
yeah.
And that's first.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not just like you, do you love you?
Do you
You
love you?
have to love yourself to recognize what is no longer acceptable for
That's
you.
great.
And just to add on to what I said before, because it isn't always someone else. Sometimes it's you. Like I had to check myself at times because I would be the one that was giving off hate, and it wasn't even intentional, but I wasn't always respectful of others' boundaries. I wasn't always respectful of my own boundaries. And sometimes you're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And let me be very clear. I'm not saying sometimes you're a problem,
Mm.
as in like something's wrong with you, but sometimes you're fine, but your action towards others isn't. And you have to be able to do that self-reflection too, if you have any hope of wanting other people to self-reflect as well. Um, so for me, what helped me with the hope is, creating is an emotional response for a lot of people, and for me it was. So what helped me was poetry. That was my form of creation. So instead of having like anger outbursts, for example, I would channel that into my writing. So instead of my racing thoughts and overthinking being this tornado, it felt like a gentle breeze, and I was able to just get that. The process was basically a tornado dying. So it was moving from high speed, the gusts, however many miles per hour. And as more and more of the words got onto paper, it just became a gentle breeze. And I could feel the thoughts there, but I just gently put them onto paper. And that was my method of creating. And because of that, I can see that transition in myself in being able to adapt, being able to handle things a bit more productively, which in and of itself provided hope for me that I can continue to grow and develop, and then model for others how to go through that process in a way that works for them as well.
Love that so much. Wow. That's exactly right. And that type of process helped me. This is my first of many. Exceptionally,
Love it.
it's a poem about being yourself,
Mhm.
being you. That's all you can do. And then on the back, it has all different types of exceptionalities, like ADHD and one rabbit that's slightly blind, and
Mhm.
OCD and autism, and like different exceptionalities like that. And just that mantra, you can only be you, that's all you can do, Miss Natasha.
Yep.
All you can do, and just keep on going. But still, like, I created this because I was getting so much hate.
Mhm.
But instead of giving it, like you said, like instead of giving it back, I try to just figure out what is happening.
And
What is
why?
happening? I call that transmorphication of my brain, the golden compass between my ears, my brain. Like, how could I make these bad things turn around and
Yep.
become good, even
I
though that it
love
was
that.
bad, you know, like through stickers,
Mhm.
right? I started making stickers,
Oh, I love that.
and it's because that's a form of, oh, one second. That's that's a form of that's a form of using my words and my creativity in
Mhm.
another different way.
Yeah.
Even with this CreateDon'tHate, just shut up your mouth. You don't know nothing. Just do your thing. Like literally. And You're telling me to be quiet when the Lord's telling me to open up my mouth. This is what's happening right now. This is what's happening. I'm allowing that to happen.
Yes.
Okay, I see what's going on. Natasha, redo life.
I love that so much.
I believe it or not, because a lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people don't believe it. I have 2 children. One is, the eldest is a boy and the youngest is a girl.
Right.
One is, I think he's going to be 26. And my youngest, she's 20.
Okay.
They didn't believe I could be a mom. They didn't believe I could own my own business. They didn't believe I could graduate high school. They didn't believe I could graduate college. They didn't believe I could, like, not them, but I'm just saying,
yeah,
the things that I've achieved don't matter to people who don't really look to you and your accomplishments. So I had to look to me. I had to look to God and understand what Jesus done for me. And then afterwards see, like, you're his. Like, you know, like beating in my head. And it's, you know, and doing all of that, putting the elbow grease into your life, it can move mountains. And then afterward, they will say, look what great works he done in you.
Yeah.
So I know that I didn't get off to a good start when I was younger because I was ignorant. But you can change that. You can make it what you can make it what you want to see, not what the society and the world says.
Exactly.
Just like eating McDonald's every day. You can make a burger at home. You know, I eat out, so I'm just playing. Like, I eat out if I feel like I know how to make burgers. So, like, people wouldn't say I know how to cook. People would say I don't know how to drive, right? But I surpassed all of that.
Yeah.
I want to help other people have that same love for themselves.
I love that.
And that's going to happen through doing stuff like this.
Yes.
Because I'm using my voice to create something different through adversity. And also bringing in community and connection in the process.
Yes.
And I didn't have to read that. Usually I do. I'll be like, yeah, but you can't see me though. So I do it. And I was stopping myself. This is so key for me. I was stopping myself from starting. But I'm gonna have something to look at. So reporters do it. Someone told me this. Reporters do it all the time.
Yeah.
So what's the problem? I don't move. I move. I'm so over the. Who cares?
It's what works for you.
Right. So this is where I'm at now, and for that, like, I feel like I'm internally blessed.
Yes.
Before I was just like, it was just like putting on lotion. And then you bait it off and then you have to go do it again. No, now I don't have to bait it. It's going to bait 100 times. It's not going to come off.
Yeah.
Unless like hard stuff happens, then he has to remind you, listen, hello. Whose are you?
But even then it doesn't come off, right? It may be buried below it.
Yeah.
You have to, get those stones and the rubble off, but it's still there. It's still, like you said, when it's internal blessings, it's still there. Yeah. No one can take that away from you. Sometimes you may forget, like you said, it may be harder to get to, but it's still there.
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm going to ask you a couple more and then we'll be done.
Yep.
The one that I ask a lot though is, how do you embrace failure? Because I'm like, as I said, I did said all that, but failure, I fall hard.
Yeah.
But I fall forward now. So I'll let you to it.
So for me, I embrace failure by only considering failure a failure to start and a failure to go for it. If I start and I try it and I give it my all and it doesn't work the way I intended, it's not failing. It is successfully learning how to make it better the next time. So I embrace failure by changing my definition of failure. I'm changing my mindset around that word failure because it's just a word, right? You only fail if your mindset fails to believe that you can continue and learn from it.
I have stickers now to prove
There
it, right?
you go. Exactly. Um, for me, failure comes a lot from of the fear of trying, right? So what I have been trying to start doing is using my fear as fuel for what I want to do. So failure, it's just a thing.
Mhm,
It's external. Like you said, I don't take it in. The ship can only sink if the water gets inside.
mhm, mhm.
Nothing sinking me. Like you could try. You're not going to be successful. That's something you'll fail at if you're trying to make me fail. But God didn't create me to fail. So
Mhm.
how can I embrace something that God didn't send to me?
Mhm. Thank
Right?
you for that. Um, what are you most proud of?
Myself. And I say that unapologetically. I'm proud of myself. I've been through a lot. Some of it self-inflicted, a lot of it self-inflicted, let's be honest. But even when you look at, the the way people have treated me in the past, what I would have perceived as failure in the past because something didn't go my way. Um,
Right.
but I'm proud of myself for the shift in mindset because it's not about my will, it's God's will, right? And the sooner you accept that, the sooner things start falling into place in your life because it's already there for you. But God has you on a mission, and you're the one taking your own self off of it because of what you think you want or the direction you think you should be going in. So your GPS system up there is telling you, nope, turn right, and you're like, yeah, but I go straight or I go left all the time. This is the way I want to go. Okay, but this has not worked for you before. Turn right. And you're not realizing that now, if you continue going where you went before, there's a roadblock, there's construction, there is a sinkhole that you're about to fall into because God told you go right, but you're so stubborn in what you think you want that you're not listening. So I'm proud of myself for finally shutting up and listening because, I was drowning out because I had my thoughts on like volume 100. I couldn't hear God.
Mhm.
And I was listening to myself instead of listening to God speaking to me in my own voice. So I'm proud of myself for everything that I've accomplished, for self-forgiveness because I've had to forgive myself for some things. I'm proud of myself for taking up my purpose and helping others. I didn't have to do that. And when you decide to help others, at the beginning, it's not financially profitable. I have bills to pay like everybody else. I want to make $1 million a week. Everybody wants to go relax on a beach, but if I focused on that, then I wouldn't be focusing on my purpose. And my mission and my purpose had to come first. The money will follow when it's time for it to follow. I have a roof over my head. I have food on my plate. I sleep soundly for the most part at night. I have everything that I need, and God will continue to provide.
Mhm.
So I'm proud of myself for defining myself instead of taking everyone else's definition of who I should be or who they think I am. Um, and this was toughest with regards to family, friends, that circle.
Yeah.
When people get used to who you made yourself be to be accepted, when you finally realize who the heck you are and you stand firmly and unapologetically in that and you start setting boundaries, not everyone's going to back you. Not
No.
everyone is going to want that. Not everyone is going to like the limited access.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. It's disappointing, and I wish that things would be different. Actually, no, I take that back. I don't wish that things would be different because they're like this for a reason. But I'm proud of myself for living my life for me through God in the service of others.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
was gonna ask one more, but I'm stopping there because you encapsulated everything in that comment. And I just feel so happy that, again, you listened to the call.
Mm-hmm.
You felt that tap, you felt that nudge, and you took the empirical steps
Yeah.
to just get to where you are now. And you have so much more to go anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So in saying that, I'm just going to read my spiel.
Okay.
Why?
Do you
Oh
mind
yes,
if I
oh,
add something really
yes,
quickly?
yes,
Sorry to
please,
interrupt you.
yes,
But
please.
I just wanted to add that, the I am in Diamond is very meaningful. And, for anyone who may need that extra inspiration, define yourself, define your I am, and be proud of yourself in that, no matter how anybody else feels about it, because God creates you. It's up to you to accept that and then mold that into your own definition. Um, and we, I don't want others to engage in prolonged self-hate, especially without realizing that that's what they're doing. And that's what Diamond Initiative is all about, and the coaching is about. Reframing your mindset, changing your lens so you now have 2020 vision to see yourself through God's eyes and for who you really are and your purpose. So just define your own I am, and be proud in it, be unapologetic in it. And if you ever need reassurance, then there are others here to help you through that.
Thank you for interrupting me. That
No
was
problem.
just so good. Like, thank you.
You're welcome, Natasha.
Create Don't Hate was born out of frustration. The frustration of individuals hating on people like me with differences. We started the movement of hope, courage, and love to build community and connection in the process. Create Don't Hate is a real practical way of giving hope to those who have been muted and shut down because of just being who they are. Create Don't Hate is an anthem I will play to get through the tough times.
Mm.
I thank you so much for today. And I love if you have anything else you'd like to say, and then please leave your link to where people can reach you.
Of course. The only thing I want to say is thank you for having me, and thank you for creating, Create Don't Hate, and for being unapologetically you, for
Yeah.
not listening when other people told you you can't and you shouldn't and you're not supposed to. Thank you for telling them hush your mouth.
Yeah.
But thank you for inviting me onto your platform. This was wonderful. I enjoyed having this conversation with you. It was very enlightening. As for where others, excuse me, as for where others can find me. So my Instagram handle is at diamond_initiative. So at DIAMOND_INITIATIVE. I'm on LinkedIn, Jamelia Gay. And you can contact me via email, diamond_initiative@yahoo.com.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us
You're
today.
most welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I forget, I also have a secondary Instagram, just for more ADHD centric posts. So that's ADHD on purpose, because
Thank you.
that's how I want people to see and accept themselves, that you can have a diagnosis and live your life on purpose. It doesn't have to hold you back, because there's nothing wrong with you. We're just getting strategies to help you live your life in a way that works best for you. So ADHD on purpose.
You're after my heart, I tell you. Like, thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you as well.